Hello, Future Fight peeps. Basically, noticing today doing the world bosses that my normal go-to characters, like uh, my other video I did, which I haven't uploaded, was my X-23. The CTPs of Rage don't proc as much due to the fact the bosses aren't attacking, so you're not dodging. And same with characters that accumulate damage or reflect damage. It's affecting their ability to do the world boss fights and do as much damage and clears. Because if you're not taking damage because the boss is just standing there, you can't accumulate damage. You can't reflect damage if there's nothing to reflect. So let's go in and kind of see what I'm talking about. Now, using these strikers, which is my usual go-to strikers, the all defense downs and the mind controls. Now, while it's true, like I said, the bosses are just standing there, so you think, well, for some characters it makes it, a lot easier. But I was noticing, like with my rogue, that, well, actually I couldn't even clear the stage. I couldn't beat the stage in time with my rogue, which normally, rogue tears it up now. But you can see how little damage that rogue is, really doing. I mean, yes, health is going down, but see that number 5, it reflects up to 150% of physical damage received. Well, I can't reflect damage that's not happening. See, I'm like, it's barely even hurting her. Alright, so let's try another character. And I know you're saying, like, well, on characters that accumulate, you don't use mind controllers anyway. Well, not true. You would use your Scarlet Witch and stuff like that because they weren't, like, constantly mind controlling. I mean, you would have, yes, some mind controls would come out, which would give you like a little gap of a breathing room to reposition and all that good stuff. But it wasn't like a constant lockdown of the boss, so you were still taking, decent damage on a fight. And so, like now, like Sharon Rogers, which is usually pretty decent in her, because once you've accumulated your damage and everything, you do pretty decent damage to her. Well, now the only damage you really accumulate is from standing in the poison or something, which really doesn't hurt that much unless you just really stand in it a long time. And you can see, barely even doing any damage at all. I mean, like a feather hitting the Juggernaut. Like just nothing. Alright. And speaking of Juggernaut, let's go in with him and see what happens. She must move, so I think it's tough to start, but you'll see, I mean, he's barely going to do any damage. See, like her health is just not going to move. Even when I get the proc on his custom gear right then, nothing's going to happen. I mean, just a little bit of damage to her. Alright, just to show you what I'm talking about, I took the mind controllers off. And now I should be able to accumulate some damage. And you can see the more damage I accumulate now, the Juggernaut will actually start doing more and more damage as it ramps up to Proxima. Well, normally he does. Oh, only in a video you're making with it. Alright, there you go. So when well, that was from Weapon Hex coming out too, though. But you see what I'm talking about? He's actually able to do damage now because he's built where he needs to accumulate and take damage to do his damage. And so if the bosses aren't attacking you and such like that, you don't really do that much to them. Ooh, better pay attention. But that's what I'm saying. I mean, it's really affecting certain characters and their ability to do damage in the bosses, especially the ones I normally use to kill my Proximas. And let's see. And so we'll kind of go over what I'm talking about. Like, alright, on Juggernaut, Oh, no, that's 2. Accumulate 150% of true damage regardless of the defense and dodge rate. So that's where a lot of your damage on him comes from. He accumulates the damage and builds it up and then smashes it out. If we go to Sharon Rogers, and it should be her 3, accumulates 150% of true damage. And then on Rogue, we go down to her 5th. And it'll be reflects 100% of physical damage received up to 150% of maximum attack. Well, if those characters aren't being attacked, they're just not doing any damage. And so the way the strikers are working out now in the game, you know, it's just affecting these particular characters, which are normally the stronger characters to use against these type of world bosses. And just thought I'd make a little video just showing that it's where it's positive for certain characters, it's pushing the characters that are mainly used for those bosses kind of to the side if you're using your strikers. And as before, like I said, you could use Weapon Hex, Scarlet Witch, Invisible Woman as strikers before with Juggernaut or Sharon Rogers because they weren't constantly doing their mind control. They would also come out and do other attacks as well during the fight. And now it's just they are doing the mind control every single time, so the boss isn't doing anything. And just thought I would do a quick little video about that. I hope you guys enjoyed and hope it wasn't too awfully bad. Thanks for watching and hope to see you next time.